Bhagavati Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. So today we wanted to, maybe the next few days, we will look at the residencies of the Lord. And we'll start with Goloka Vrindaban. And the scripture references where the information comes from there's a number of sources, and these are compiled from the following scriptures. Brahma Samhita is a lot of the information comes from Brahma Samhita, and this is when Lord Brahma at the beginning of creation meditated upon the Supreme Lord, and by the grace of the Lord was given darshan of not just the Lord himself, but also Vaikuntha and Goloka Vrindavan. So this is first-hand experience by Lord Brahma. So we shall see many verses which come from the Brahma Samhita describing the spiritual world. And Padma and Brahma Vaivarta Puranas, they contain quite a lot of information about the spiritual world, as does Srimad Bhagavad Puran and the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj. Then the six Goswamis have also written books which give a lot of detail. Brihad Bhagavad Amrita by Sanatana Goswami and Laghu Bhagavad Amrita by Rupa Goswami. This one specifically has a lot of information. And Jiva Goswami has written, interestingly, in Gopal Champu, what am I doing? I have rashly began a description of Goloka. I do not see how I will have the power to complete my description. So this is, of course, the spiritual world is unlimited. So it's extremely difficult to, within a few hours, go through what the spiritual world is like. We haven't got a clue anyway, but these scriptures give us some ideas. And then there's the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika by Kavi Kannapur, and this wonderful Gokul chart, which was produced by Selam Iskon. Very, very nice chart, which gives an idea of the spiritual world and compares it to the material world. So this is an interesting place to start with the Brahma Samhita first verse. Anybody like to recite this? It's quite a popular verse. Anybody know it and like to recite it?
Yeah, I can do it if you like.
Okay.
Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Adir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. Translation is, Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. Haribol.
Thank you. So this really does establish Krishna as the
it's a very famous verse, isn't it, from Brahma Samhita?
Yes, and it's a really nice, it's easily composed, you know, it's easy to remember as well. It's worth memorizing this one.
Yeah. Done it.
Oh, you know it. Oh, good. Do you want to have a go?
Yes. Ishvara Paramam Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana.
And it's nicely split. Ishvara Krishna, Ishvara, Supreme Lord, Param, the highest, is Krishna, who is Satchit Anand. Such is knowledge, eternal. Chit is knowledge, Anand happy. Anadir Adir Govinda. He is the origin of all. Anadir Adir. And Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva is the topmost, prime. Karan is cause of all causes. Karanam. So really nice verse, which is broken down nicely as well. Easy to understand. All right. Now, this is perhaps a little harder. Anybody like to have a go?
Try it.
There's a nice
Golokanam.
feature. Goloka namni nijadamni. Carry on.
No, you say it once and maybe I'll try next time.
Goloka namni nijadamni chatale chatasya Devi Mahesha Haridam Shute Shute Te Te Prabhav Nichaya Vihitas Chayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. You don't
Okay,
have to
Prabhu.
use that meter. It doesn't matter.
I'll have a go.
Yeah.
Golakanami nijanam nama tamani talachatasya Devi Mahesha Harida Mars Tamashu Teshu Teshu Te Te Prabhava Nischa Vidita Chayana Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Very good.
You want to read the translation?
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yes.
The lowest of all is located Devi Dharma, mundane world. Next above it is Mahesha Dharma, abode of Mahesha. Above Mahesha Dharma is placed.
Dham. It's
There is a Dham.
yeah,
Sorry,
Dham
yes,
is
sorry.
location. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Mahesha Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Golak. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of these graded realms. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else want to have a go at chanting this verse?
Well, Prabhu.
Go for it.
Golokanamni nijadham nitale chatasya Devi Mahesha Haridham Sute Sutesu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitasya Yena Govindamadi Purusam Tamaham Bhajami. Lowest of all is located Devi Dham, mundane world. Next above it is Mahesha Dham, abode of Mahesha. Above Mahesha Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari, and above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Naniven, you like to have a
Can
go?
yes. Golokanamni nijatamni taleshatasya Devi Mahesha Haritamasu Teshu Teshu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihita Shachayena Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Lowest of all is located Devidam, mundane world. Next above it is Maheshtam, abode of Mahesh. Above Maheshtam is placed Haridam, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allocated the respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. I think this needs worth memorizing. It's nice verse.
Yeah, for sure. Because it gives the position of the different realms.
Yeah.
Really important.
Do you know, Prabhuji?
Hmm.
Do you know how many verses are there in Brahma Samhita?
Actually, we've only got one chapter. It was a humongous scripture.
Oh my.
We've only got the 5th chapter. And
Yes.
how many are there?
I think 30.
No, more. This is 43.
Oh.
So
It
probably
doesn't
about
start
70.
It starts at, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, even the others are there. The ones that we start memorizing is
I
at
think 70 plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, 70 plus.
Yeah.
71st chapters.
No.
Verses.
Verses in
chapter.
chapter 5. Okay.
Yeah. And it's this chapter actually Lord Chaitanya found it in the south of Bharat. And he copied it out and he brought it to the devotees in Bengal. So we are very lucky to have this actually. And this Govindamadi Purusham Tamham Bhajami, I think there's about 29 verses which end in that slok.
Yes, yes, I noticed that. That does happen.
Yeah.
Govindamadi Purusham.
Those are many devotees have memorized those, all of them. And the rhythm, the meter is good. So it's quite good to memorize those. But this one is really amazing verse. Okay, good. So this gives an overview of what this verse says, basically. We have Devi Dham, and although Devi Dham here looks huge in comparison with the whole creation, it's very small, and it's in the northeast corner of the creation, of the whole creation. So it's actually very small. It's like less than a quarter of the creation, and not just one universe. That's millions of universes, and ours is one tiny universe, one little speck. So that's Devi Dham. Then we've got Mahesh Dham, Lord Shiva's abode. And beyond that is the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, Brahmajyoti. Beyond the Brahmajyoti, wherein lie Haridham, that's Vaikuntha. Above Vaikuntha is Ayodhya. And above Ayodhya will be Dwarka, Jagannath Puri, Mathura. And finally, the highest, topmost is Golok, Krishna's abode itself.
Prabhuji,
Yes, very well.
just two questions. One is the hierarchy of this, like Golok top, Ayodhya before Haridham, Mahishdham. Is there a reason for this? That is all in hierarchical order. And the second question is the Devi Dham, as you say, does it comprise of the whole of the universe, whole of the manifested universes, including one of us?
One of ours. Yes.
Everything is included in there.
Everything is included in that.
Okay.
Everything. So you can see somewhere, where is he? Oh, he's not there. Karanadaksha Vishnu, when he lies down and he breathes out, all these universes come out from the pores of his skin. So that is all part of Devi Dham, not just our universe, all of the universes, millions of universes. In terms of the hierarchy, this is in accordance with the bhavs that one can have with the lordship. So, for example, in Haridham, the main relationship with the Lord is that of servitude. And beyond that, there is a relationship in Ayodhya with Ram, Lord Ram, beyond servitude. There's a friendship, like Vibhishan had a friendship with the Supreme Lord. It was there was a servitude, aspect to that relationship, but there was also a friendship relationship there. But that friendship was very much in awe and reverence. He couldn't go up and jump on the Lord's back and, whip him with a stick, for example. It was very much a formal relationship. So that's Ayodhya. And then Ayodhya, we also have the relationship between Ram and Sita is more intimate than that of Lakshmi, Vishnu, Lakshmi Narayan. So that is a little bit more developed. It's heavily developed here, but it's much more in the mood of service. Lakshmi Devi wouldn't say too much to the Lord. She would massage him or, be subservient. Whereas Sita Mata, she would advise the Lord in many situations. In fact, Janakaraj said to Lord Ramachandra before marriage, she's going to be your advisor. And she was. So. And yes, and there's a parental, yes, very good point. There's here, Vaikuntha, there is really mother and father concept doesn't exist. Whereas in Ayodhya, it's prominent. Mother, Kaushalya Mataji and Kaikai.
No, that equates to the family concept, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
Very much, nothing, okay.
And then in terms of hierarchical rasas, Golok is regarded to be the highest because there all of the rasas are manifest in full. So there's the friendship, but the friendship goes beyond what it is in Ayodhya, much, much more beyond to its ultimate level. And same with Vatsalya Ras, Mother Yashoda, the way she treats Krishna is extraordinary. And then we have Madhurya Ras, which is, exemplified by Srimati Radharani. So beyond anything that is in the other realms. So that's why Golok is regarded to be the highest realm.
Yeah, my confusion was between Haridham and Ayodhya, which you explained quite well. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for asking. And then even between here, if we go within here, there's Jagannath Puri, there's Dwarka,
Mathura,
and Mathura.
and
there,
Navadvip.
and Navadvip, yeah, that's right. And even there's different gradations, of which Golok again stands highest. Of course, Navadvip is on a par. Mayapur is on a par. Okay. So very interesting, this chart. Now, sometimes it gets a little confusing, Krishna's personal abode, because there's many names given to his abode. So Golok is one. Golok means planet of the cows. Gokul. So there's a little difference between the two. And they are very much interchangeable. But we're trying to not confuse things too much. So Golok, we would really attribute to the location of the spiritual world. And the planets in the spiritual world. Whereas Gokul, we try to perhaps attribute that to the spiritual world that's manifested within the material world. So when we go to Vrindaban, we go to Gokul. When we go back to the spiritual world, we go to Golok. But these are very interchangeable, and we'll see that as we go through Prabhupada's teachings and writings. And then, of course, Vrindavan, forest of Vrinda, Tulsi Devi, Krishna Lok, planet of Krishna. So these are very much interchangeable. Shwetadweep, ocean of milk. All these names of Krishna's abodes are used interchangeably. However, to avoid confusion in this presentation, we've tried to let Golok refer to Krishna's abode in the spiritual world, and Gokul refer to his abode when he descends to this material world. So that's just something that we've tried to do. When Krishna descends to the material world, Golok, part of the spiritual world, also descends with him to serve, and is known as Gokul. So what does Srila Prabhupada say about Golok? Why focus on Golok? So,
the whole material universe is called Devi Dham, and above it is Shiv Dham, where Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati eternally reside. Above that planetary system is the spiritual sky, where innumerable spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas are situated. Above these Vaikuntha planets is Krishna's planet, known as Golok Vrindavan. The word Golok means planet of the cows. Because Krishna is very fond of cows, his abode is known as Golok. Golok Vrindavan is larger than all the material and spiritual planets put together. So from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 14.
That's very interesting. So what we're saying, this is not obviously drawn to scale, because just this aspect is greater than everything else. So Golok is humongous, and the number of souls there are in comparison a lot. Vast majority of the living entities live in Golok, and they're liberated souls, having personal relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that's very interesting to know. We are thinking we're the center of the universe, but and this is, of course, something that we often refer to, like the family tree of Krishna and his avatars. So from Krishna, the cause of all causes. First expansion is Balaram, from whom comes the quadruple expansion. There's the first quadruple expansion, and then we have the second quadruple expansion here. So from Shankarshan comes Narayan, and this Narayan is the one living in Vaikuntha. These others are in planets above Vaikuntha, but below Goloka. So that would include Dwarka and Mathura, like that, Puri. And then from Narayan come another quadruple expansion. And then from Shankarshan comes the three Vishnus, the creative potency of the Lord. Karanadakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So when Karanadakshaya Vishnu is present, when he breathes out, all these universes come out of the pores of his skin. And each universe is said to have a lifespan of 311 trillion, 40 billion years. And that's equal to one breath of Lord Vishnu. So this shows the greatness of Karanadakshaya Vishnu, who is just an incarnation of an incarnation of an incarnation of an incarnation of Krishna. And from him expands into every single universe another Vishnu, who is known as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu stems a lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is situated, who is given the secondary responsibility of creation. And the third Vishnu is when from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, there's an expansion of Shirodakshaya Vishnu, who expands as the super soul, Paramatma, who resides whilst we're in this world with every single living entity. So although he's split amongst all the living entities, he's one. And he accompanies us whilst we're in this world. So it's fascinating, fascinating stuff. Okay.
One should also always meditate upon the dealings between Radha and Krishna in the transcendental world. One should think of Radha and Krishna 24 hours a day and engage in their service within one's mind, not externally change one's dress. By adopting the mood of the associates and friends of Radharani and following in the footsteps, one can ultimately achieve the perfectional stage of being transferred to Goloka Vrindaban, the transcendental abode of Krishna. This is also from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 31.
So this is why the focus is on Goloka, because we want to be ultimately in association with the Supreme Lord in his own place. That would be the desire of many spiritualists, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That is one of the aims.
Beyond the limitation of this material world is the spiritual sky, Paravyoma, which has many spiritual planets, the supreme of which is called Krishna Lok. Krishna Lok, the abode of Krishna, has three divisions, which are known as Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokul. In the abode, the personality of Godhead expands himself into four planetary portions: Krishna, Balaram, Pradyumna, the transcendental Cupid, and Anirudh. They are known as the original quadruple forms. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, chapter 5.
So this is the first of the quadruple expansions. And Balaram is Shankarshan.
Krishna is Vasudeva.
Vasudeva, that's right. Very good. Oh yeah. The Lord resides eternally in his abode in Goloka. So this is, he never leaves Goloka. The supreme abode, yeah, go on.
The supreme abode, known as Golok, is manifested like a lotus flower with hundreds of petals. Everything there is manifested by Ananta, the Balram or Sankarshan form. So from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 7.
So this is very interesting. This is, spiritual world is not like how we see in this world, where you've got a globe and possibly a globe, although that's even in doubt. but it's more manifested like a lotus flower, and there's hundreds of petals. Each petal has significance. So when they move from one part of the spiritual world to another part, it's not that they have to walk long distances, because the lotus flower with its petals will simply open up or close up, depending on what is the need or requirement at that time. So that's why when we go to Vrindaban, we see Radha Kund is like 40 kilometers or 50 kilometers away from Vrindaban itself, and Govardhan is similar sort of distance. And you think, hang on, how did they manage to walk such long distances within a few minutes? But actually, the manifestation is like a lotus flower, so it would just open up when it would be required. So,
and Balram does all that.
Hmm.
He's in charge of all this movement of the flower, lotus flower.
Hmm.
He does not possess bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. This is from the Svetashtra Avtara Upanishad, chapter 6, verses 7 to 8.
So this is quite important to understand. For the Lord, there's no difference between his body and his soul. His body is spiritual. Our body is different from the soul, because our body is material, but his is not. This is one of the biggest differences between us and him. So, Golok, how does that come up in the Vedic scriptures? So there's quite a few references. In the Rig Vedas, let's not read that.
We wish to go to your beautiful houses, this is Radha's and Krishna's, about which cows with large excellent horns are wandering, yet distinctly shining on this earth is that supreme abode of yours that showers joy on all, O Urugraya Krishna, who is much praised.
In the Vamsi Harivams, Vishnu Parva chapter 19, it is stated,
about this heaven is the Golok governed by Sadhyas. That great world of Lord Krishna pervades the great sky all over. It is above all the worlds.
So this is just confirmation of, in the Vedic scriptures, of Golok's supreme position. And again, here it's confirming about how the cows are wandering here and there. Brahma Vaivarta Puran.
The highest abode of Golok is situated 50 crore yojanas above the abode of Vaikuntha. It is the best of all places. So that's about 400 million miles above Vaikuntha.
Again, from the Brahma Vaivarta Puran.
This abode of Golok is situated outside the Brahmand universe. It is the topmost abode. There is no other abode higher than this. Beyond this, nothing exists. Only void remains, which is infinite, empty, and dark. Indeed, this Golok is the end of all the creation.
Brihat Brahma Samhita.
The abode of Golok is situated above all the places. It is completely beyond matter, and it's transcendental.
Vayu Puran
also describes the supreme abode of Golok, wherein Lord Krishna and Devi Radha reside eternally.
So this is the description.
Lord Krishna is the lover of Srimati Radha, is the supreme Purush described in the Vedas. By him, all this world is manifested. He indeed is the non-dual Nirgun Brahman, described by the Vedas, who resides in the eternal abode of Golok.
So this is just we getting this confirmation, because really we don't know what the spiritual world is like, but from the scriptures, from the writings of the acharyas, we get a glimpse. And why is this important? Just to establish our faith in Krishna and his world, basically. So this is why we are focusing on this. It just helps us. It just helps us, makes our
Focus.
faith deeper, isn't it? That's the idea. Brahmanda Puran
also mentions about Golok as the Lord Krishna's abode.
in the
Vasudeva Mahatmya of Skanda Puran also mentions the abode of Golok. In the Valmiki Ramayana, in the Ayodhya Khand, it says, high-souled men, wholly devoted to their parents, obtain the regions of gods and the Gandharvas, the seventh heaven presided by the Gandharvas, the seventh heaven presided by Brahma, the creator, and Golok, the highest heaven, abiding in cows and presided over by Sri Radha and Sri Krishna, the first couple.
Narada Pancharatra.
The predominator of the gopis, Govinda, is the principal deity of Gokul. Yes, it's Gokul. Always enjoys himself in a place called Golok, in the topmost part of the spiritual sky.
This is where it becomes interchangeable. But anyway. Skanda Puran, Krishna to Arjuna.
Krishna is saying, I move about in many forms on earth, in Vaikuntha and in the eternal abode Golok or Kontaya.
Markandeya Purana.
In this, the Lord declares, in the Kali Yuga, I will live Golok, and to save the people of the world, I will become the handsome and playful Lord Gauranga.
So this is Chaitanya, very interesting. Thus, the abode of Golok is described variously in Vedic scriptures. Yes, Nana.
So yes, one question. Somebody, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is also known as Gauranga. What I thought that Gaurang means very fair. But at the same time, it says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's skin color was like molten gold, that of Radharani ji.
Yes.
So I'm very confused now.
Because I think because he took the complexion of Radharani, molten gold,
yes,
that's why he's known as Gauranga. But what you're saying is Gaura means white, right? Gaura.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I may be wrong.
But his name of Gauranga is because he's got the bodily complexion of Srimati Radharani. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. But Gauranga, I thought it was Gaura. I may be wrong. I don't know. I think we need to find out a little bit more about what does Gaurang actually mean.
Because we say that Gaura.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Gaura
Krishna.
means very white color, very beautiful. Ranga, Gauranga. Ranga means the color. This is Gauranga, which we have read. Okay.
Yeah, what Naniben's point is Gaura is white, usually means white. So Gauranga is
Gaura, yes.
Gauranga.
Yes, Gaura means white. Yeah, you are right. Ranga
means color. What I've interpreted is Gaurang means Gauranga, so white color. But I think that doesn't imply that it's not 100% correct.
No, it's correct. Gaura means it's beautiful. Is white. Ranga means the color. It's like this.
But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's complexion was different, isn't it? Golden brown.
Yes, this happens when he becomes very motivated, very transcendentalist. This changes. Somewhere it is.
Okay.
It changes when he comes to the transcendental feature. So this changes. It's like this.
Okay.
Maybe also Gaura can have probably many meanings. Like many Sanskrit words have many different meanings. So I think when you put those together, you probably have this riff Gaura.
You are right, Prabhu. You are right. You are right. When it's he himself in love with Radharani, all these things, he becomes Radharani. All these things are understood by his pastimes.
If you find anything more about that, Naniben, let us know.
But I think what Sitaram Prabhuji said, it makes sense that when he is transcendental mood with Radharani ji, that's when his real complexion is like golden brown.
Yeah.
But originally, because in all the photos, everywhere we see, he's fair. So
Yeah.
that's what it is. So that makes sense what Prabhuji has just told us.
One thing more, Prabhu. Now I am reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know, in these phases, you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done many things, but it is not with, I cannot imagine in my petty mind, you know. So it's like this. You take great pleasure with this Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is very, 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 it is done for this Kali Yuga. And when he appeared, he gave all type of facilities to those people. And he was sometimes when he was walking hundreds of miles, sometimes he slept in the bushes. So who can do all these things? Lord Krishna cannot do, but he takes a pleasure with his associates. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
My understanding, Prabhu, we looking through the material eyes, whereas this is all spiritual thing, isn't it? There's a color combination, obviously, from our eyes won't be the same as the spiritual. That's my understanding.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, because like Krishna is described as Shyam, but actually his color is that of a freshly formed rain cloud, which is not necessarily black. You know, it's a beautiful color.
No, but Prabhuji, Krishna in the photos you will see, it's usually like monsoon cloud or dark. So that, as far as pictures are concerned, they do depict what Krishna's color is like.
No, it's not quite like that. It's just such a unique color. But I know what you mean, that they attempt to.
Attempt to, yes. Yeah.
But
yeah.
but his color is very difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just like Ram's color is very straightforward. It's a whitish. Krishna's is very tricky. Everything is tricky about him. Even the color of his complexion is very tricky.
Sorry, I read somewhere that Ram, his color was something like greenish.
Oh, bluish. It was greenish, wasn't it? Greenish.
Greenish, wasn't it?
Yeah, greenish.
Not white. No, greenish, yes.
Greenish, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, good point. Greenish, goldenish color. There was a
yes,
hint of
it was
gold in it. Yeah. True. Good point. Good point. Thus, the abode of Golok, is described variously in Vedic scriptures. Above statements from Puranas, Pancharatra, etc., are consistent with the statement of the Vedas. Tad Vishnu Padamam Padam. The aim of life is to achieve the lotus feet of the Lord. So Golok is also worshipable, just like Krishna. It is a conclusive opinion of Lord Chaitanya that the most worshipable form of the Lord is that of Lord Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Vrindaban Dham is the topmost worshipable abode. So this is stated by Chaitanya Matta Manjusa commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam by Srinath Chakravarti. Again, Brahma Samhita describes, this is 529. Okay. Brahma, being desirous of satisfying Govinda, practiced the cultural acts for Krishna in Golok, Lord of Shvetadvip, for a long time. His meditation ran thus: there exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments, in the transcendental land of Golok. On its roll, there exists a great divine throne on which is seated Lord Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence of transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute, resonant with the divine sound, with his lotus mouth. He is worshipped by his amorous milkmaids with their respective subjective portions and extensions, and also by his external energy, who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. So this is really deeper statements by Brahma Samhita, in Brahma Samhita. And Lord Brahma is there meditating on this form of Lord Krishna in Golok. So even the demigods get sometimes the opportunity to visit Golok. Once Yudhishthira Maharaj asked Narad Muni to describe different assembly halls. So this is from the Brahma Vaivarta Puran. Narad explained the devatas went to see the abode of Yam, Indra, and they said Brahma's is the best. It changes color, it changes shape, etc. But Brahma said to the devatas, come and see Lord Shiva's abode. Shiva in turn says, Vishnu's is the best, and took devatas there. Vishnu says, Vaikuntha is not as opulent as Golok or Gokul, and that Krishna resides in Golok. This is the Brahma Vaivarta Puran, and took the devatas to Golok. This is very rare tour of Golok, very unusual and great fortune for the devatas. They were stopped by the gatekeepers of Golok. Devatas saw the opulence and are amazed. The Chintamani stones, 108 varieties of Surabhi cows, Kalpavriksha trees everywhere. But the devotees in Golok, they never care for the opulence because of their great love for the Lord. So Vaikuntha is extremely opulent, huge palaces, huge aeroplanes flying around, and everybody dressed in the most opulent manner, not just the lords, but all the servants as well. And each palace is made of many, many different gems, etc. But still nothing compared to Golok. And Golok is, in one sense, fairly simple, but it is so amazing that it's beyond comparison, beyond any comparison, even to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha cannot be compared to Golok. But the devotees who live there, they don't see the opulence because their love for the Lord excels that. So this is from the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sarvopari Shri Gokula Vraja Loka Dham Shri Gokula Goloka Shweta Dvipa Vrindavanana. Shri Goku is the highest of all, is also called Vraja, Golok, Shwetadvip, and Vrindavan. So this is sometimes where the misunderstanding can take place. And then this is a wonderful verse. It's one of the first that we start with. Actually, 529 is the very first verse that we start with. Anybody know this verse? Would like to recite it? Oh, time.
I know, but it's a bit difficult if you don't have time.
I tell you what, let's start tomorrow with it.
Okay. The Chintamani Prakarasha.
Yeah. Very good. It's a good place to stop, actually.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody. And unless there's any questions, we can go to the Nrsimha Kavach. Jai. Golok Dham ki jai, Gokul Dham ki jai.